The Initiative Studio is the AAA team new to Xbox, built from the echelon of Sony Santa Monica, Rockstar, and talent from around the biggest studios in the industry, housed in Southern California to make the most premier games for Xbox Game Studios. The team was formed in late 2018, just 3 years ago, and has been working on the just one game for Xbox, the cinematic, blockbuster, high production value masterpiece to be exclusive and compete with some of the world's biggest games. The Initiative shocked and surprised the world when they announced that they were reviving the old Perfect Dark, and with the talent pool in-house, fans were excited. But in 2021, after 3 long years of development, the Initiative said they are just getting started. This is Colteastwood. Welcome back to the channel. Today's news is pretty hot and got a lot of people really upset, but I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and this is for the Initiative's Perfect Dark. If you end up enjoying this video and learn something along the way, show your support by liking and subscribing to the channel, hit the bell to be notified of new content, and let's look at what's going on with Perfect Dark, the Initiative, and Xbox. The Initiative Studio is supposed to be the beacon of hope for the Xbox Game Studios team, with top-tier talent, tried and true AAA veteran game leadership, and the promise of delivering that one game that Xbox is missing in their varied and now robust portfolio. Recently, the studios finally broke silence after well over a year and said, quote, "Perfect Dark update. We are partnering with Crystal Dynamics, the world-class team behind character-driven games such as Tomb Raider, to bring this first-person spy thriller to a new generation. The teams couldn't pass up the chance to work together. We're still early in development, but incredibly excited to use this unique opportunity to deliver on the vision for Perfect Dark." Close quote. Daryl Gallagher, the lead behind the Initiative, spent many years as the head of studio for Crystal Dynamics and was integral in the reviving and reimagining of Lara Croft for the Tomb Raider reboot in 2013 into modern times. Crystal Dynamics has proven their worth with the Tomb Raider trilogy and worked with Xbox exclusively to launch Rise of the Tomb Raider, the best in the series, in 2015. So the team is no stranger to working successfully with Xbox to make a great game. One of the concerns among many in this statement update is that the game is in early development. When in early 2020, about a year and a half ago, Phil Spencer had hands-on with a playable state of what would later be announced as Perfect Dark, which led fans and the media to believe that the Initiative's first game would be ready to show in 2020 or 2021. Instead, we got a pre-rendered cinematic trailer with no gameplay, no hint of gameplay outside of 2 obscure screenshots of Perfect Dark, and an explanation that it would be a spy shooter in the vein of James Bond meets Zero Dark 30. This is more than just gloomy bad news, as the Initiative has said they want the team to stay small and agile, which is something you don't often hear from a AAA or AAA studio. To clear up the AAA moniker, that designation was strictly a job description meant internally to bring on talent to the new team. The gloom and doom for Perfect Dark in early development and outsourcing or bringing in Crystal Dynamics is based on 2 issues with gaming fans as they see things right now. Number 1 is the Initiative Studio is supposed to be a big resource for Xbox Game Studios to provide the cinematic, big-budget game that Xbox has been lacking outside of their established IPs. But the Initiative Studio is only made up of about 60 employees and is looking to bring in Crystal Dynamics to handle the majority of the work for Perfect Dark. The big concern from the start is that Crystal Dynamics, although proven that they can make an incredible hit game with Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider, Crystal Dynamics has just spent the past year or so launching and supporting Marvel's Avengers, which has not had a great reception, has not rated well, and although it looks incredible, most would agree that Marvel Avengers is mostly a letdown. So, if Crystal Dynamics is expected to help usher in a big budget blockbuster game for Xbox by helping complete the major development of Perfect Dark, many are concerned that they are supposed to be further supporting a massive game like the Avengers. knowing that the current state of the superhero game is less than desirable. Of course, gaming fans are quick to think of the last recent catastrophe and will place that label onto Perfect Dark, Crystal Dynamics, and now Xbox. The first reaction on social media as the news broke was that Xbox, the Initiative Studio, and Perfect Dark are in trouble. Here is what is really happening. The Initiative Studio wants to stay small and agile, and we are hearing that the game Perfect Dark is not an episodic smaller game, but an ambitious, full-featured campaign that will endure for the revival of Joanna Dark as a character. It's actually pretty clever what the Initiative Studio is doing by bringing in Crystal Dynamics, especially in this climate economically, and how game development has been so fractured with studios working from home or working through major delays. By keeping full-time employees to a minimum, the Initiative Studio can stay small and agile by bringing in major studios for game creation in the last half of development, placing all staff in full force until the game is complete, and then those working at Crystal Dynamics can go back to whatever projects Square Enix will have them or commission them to do, and Xbox will not have to hire and fire employees when game development heats up to full force. Daryl Gallagher worked with Crystal Dynamics team for almost a decade, so it makes sense that he would ask Xbox to bring on the team to contract with the Initiative Studio to do the major work and bulk of programming, animation, and production for Perfect Dark in the last half of the development cycle, which could be a release in 2023 or even as late as 2024. Right now, we don't know how big Perfect Dark is as a game until we see it, which possibly could happen in 2022, as far as a showcase of gameplay or scope of the game for Xbox's next major event. By bringing Crystal Dynamics in as contractors, they can pay them the going rate for game developers while working on Perfect Dark, and they won't have to pay the overhead of full-time employees as the agreement goes through Crystal Dynamics, as Xbox directs the development of the game. At any time during this contract, Xbox can bring in additional resources or studios, and once the game development wraps, they can allow the teams to go back to their work with the Avengers. The Initiative Studio employees can begin work on their next title, and no one has to lose their job during the up and down workforce cycle that naturally occurs when games enter and exit development. It's very unorthodox for a major studio like this to bring in another big studio, and of course it appears like the Initiative is in trouble and that they need major help from a studio looking at such a small team of 60 employees. The Initiative is being very transparent in their communication that the game studio is meant to develop concept ideas and framework of brand new games and then contract a suite of game developers to do the major work and still allow Xbox and the Initiative Studio to publish the game under their direction. Perfect Dark sounds promising as a first-person shooter. It will likely be an amalgamation of first-person shooting, third-person cover, and mobility, as the team has explained that it will have the immersion of GoPro SWAT and Special Forces gunplay and camera work. And no doubt, with Daryl Gallagher behind the revival of Joanna Dark, knowing how he brought Lara Croft to life in the modern age, we can expect a high-production, blockbuster, hard-hitting reimagining of this 90s-era spy thriller to make a big impact for Xbox gamers when we see the game sometime in 2022 or maybe 2023. This is Colteastwood. Thanks so much for checking out this video. The Initiative Studio is supposed to be the guiding light, the hope and beacon for Xbox to bring a AAA blockbuster experience, a new IP, a new experience to the Xbox brand. But myself, I was a little shocked that they're bringing back Perfect Dark, which is a rare IP. But I am really excited about what Daryl Gallagher and the Initiative Studio is going to do, because this is a creative team that really brought back Tomb Raider. I think we're going to see some amazing things for this game, but hearing early development makes me think, when are we going to see Perfect Dark? I think that might happen next year. But this whole thing with bringing on Crystal Dynamics and them being tied to Square Enix and Marvel's Avengers got everybody in a frenzy, and I can totally see why. And my first reaction was disappointment and concern. But after looking at things and how things work in development, I have a different perspective, and I tried to make that clear in this video. I think there are good things to look forward to. I also think we should keep an eye out of what's going to happen as they bring this team in. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content. If you want to further continue the conversation, follow me on Twitter at Colteastwood. I'm on there every day talking to people about what's going on in the news and what's going on with this particular subject. Also, I have the XNC podcast that runs every Monday night. I'll do developer interviews, industry interviews, and talk to the community about the weekly news. That's 5 p.m. And that's also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. But Perfect Dark, this is a new big game for Xbox. This is one of those IPs that's going to make a big impact of what gamers will expect from the Xbox brand now that they're reimagined. So I want to know what you think of Perfect Dark. Are you concerned? Are you excited? Are you a little bit of both? And while you're there, please try not to argue with people. Please don't get into big arguments and be nice.